Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's top stories. The Iowa Caucuses are underway. We'll hear from some locals for their thoughts on tonight's voting. Taiwan has chosen their new president. Find out what some countries have to say about the incoming government. Pixar plans to lay off a portion of its workforce. This comes as the studio wrapped up production on some shows. As candidates make their last appeals to voters, Iowans are weighing their words and deciding how to cast their votes. Let's hear what they had to say.
The Iowa GOP caucus is finally here. Candidates have braved the harsh weather conditions to make their final pleas to residents of Iowa.
We go to the local high school. In my case, it's up at Madrid, Iowa. And we'll caucus up there. And boy, it's going to be cold tonight because that's out in the open field.
We're going ahead, and we expect that many people will turn out. Of course, we want people to be careful, but we think that turnout will be strong.
What are Hawkeye State voters looking for in their chosen candidate?
I really think that Trump would be the best candidate because he can deal with the world leaders and the business aspect of things.
This supporter of Nikki Haley likes the candidate's chances going into the caucus.
I think she has a strong chance. I don't think Trump has nearly the following people think he does, or maybe I'm just hopeful. And of the remaining candidates, I think her trajectory is in the right direction.
This voter has a complicated reason for supporting Vivek Ramaswamy, but it could represent a similar view that others share.
I voted for Trump last time. I just don't think they're going to let him win. And honestly, what I would love to see is I would love to see Trump as president again, and I would love to see Vivek as vice president.
This supporter of Ron DeSantis sees the Florida governor as someone who can unite Republicans.
We also feel like he's someone that can help unite the party instead of tearing it down. So for us, that's a really big piece. In terms of the Republican movement, I feel like DeSantis really is someone who we can be excited about. I think he has a lot of what Trump offered initially without a lot of the negative criticism that Trump would follow with after.
GOP supporters have a wide variety of reasons for getting behind their chosen candidate. Now only time will tell which candidate had the broadest appeal across Iowa.
We'll bring you more tomorrow morning regarding the Iowa caucuses. Now let's take a look at other top headlines. Taiwan's president-elect is exactly the man its communist neighbor doesn't want in power. William Lai's win makes the first election of the year a triumph against the totalitarian regime in Beijing, and also marks an unprecedented third consecutive term for Lai's party, the DPP. In its victory speech, Lai reiterated Taiwan's direction, expressing determination to uphold democracy and freedom on the island, even under threats from the Chinese Communist Party, and that Taiwan is not a bargaining chip between the United States and China. The Chinese regime responded warily to Taiwan's election and didn't even mention Lai by name. In a statement released late on Saturday, an official from China's foreign ministry demands the international community embrace the idea that there is only one China. Following Lai's win, the Pacific island nation of Nauru said Monday that it is switching diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to China. Over the years, China has been peeling off the island's diplomatic allies, often with promises of development aid. In contrast, an official delegation of former U.S. officials visited the island. They include former National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley and former Deputy Secretary of State James Steinberg. They praised Taiwan's diplomatic process and called it a shining example for the world. A high degree of risk to commercial vessels traveling near Yemen. That's the latest warning from the U.S. Transportation Department, following another missile strike on a U.S. cargo ship in the Red Sea. The latest attack hit Gibraltar Eagle earlier today as the vessel was sailing through the Gulf of Aden, headed toward the Suez Canal. U.S. Central Command reports no one was hurt and the ship did not sustain any damage. Though the Houthis have not claimed responsibility for the missile attack, it is the second attack against an American vessel in the region. Central Command reports a missile strike against a U.S. naval destroyer on Sunday that did not cause any damage or injuries. U.S.-led allies have been retaliating against the rebels with missile and drone strikes since the attacks began a few weeks ago. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is home from the hospital today after spending 2 weeks treating complications from surgery for prostate cancer. He will be working from home as he recovers. A statement from his doctor says that he progressed well throughout his stay, and his strength is rebounding. He has come under fire for keeping his treatment a secret from senior Biden administration leaders and staff for weeks. Some in Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, are questioning why the Pentagon chief left people in the dark about his medical condition, including his boss, President Biden. Biden calls Austin's failure to tell him about his surgery a lapse of judgment and has no plans to fire him. Walt Disney's Pixar Animation Studios is set to cut jobs. The studio wrapped up production on some shows and now has more staff than it needs. This comes after Disney cut billions in costs last year.
Pixar, a Disney subsidiary, is planning to cut jobs this year. According to TechCrunch, Pixar is planning to lay off as much as 20% of its workforce this year. The studio's team of 1,300 people would be reduced to under 1,000 in the coming months. Pixar's Emerville studio in California had hired staff to complete streaming series, and as those shows complete production, it has more staff than it needs. Disney did not immediately respond to NTD's request for comment. Disney CEO Bob Iger, who was brought back in 2022 to turn the company around, has signaled the company will reduce streaming content it makes itself in a bid to keep a lid on costs, and will license shows and movies from third parties. In June last year, Pixar eliminated 75 positions, including those of 2 executives behind box office disappointment Lightyear. At the time, it was the studio's first significant job cuts in a decade. Pixar is famous for cinematic franchises including Toy Story, The Incredibles, and Finding Nemo. Opening of its movie, Elemental, last year was slow, but the romantic comedy, where the 4 classical elements, fire, water, earth, and air, coexist, went on to bring in nearly $500 million in worldwide ticket sales. Disney acquired Pixar in 2006 to revitalize its struggling Disney animation.
A third suspect has been charged in the killing of Oakland, California police officer Tuan Lei. The news comes a few days after a public memorial was held in Lei's honor. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
Just over 2 weeks ago, Oakland police officer Tuan Lei was killed while responding to a burglary.
Sadly today, one of our officers paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Within a week, 2 suspects were arrested. On Friday, a third suspect, Marquise Cooper, was also charged. All 3 were charged with murder. Cooper is expected to appear in court on Tuesday. A fourth suspect, Sebron Russell, was charged with burglary. Officer Lei was born in Saigon, Vietnam, and immigrated to the U.S. at age 7. He graduated from Oakland High School in 2006. In 2020, he became an Oakland police officer following his grandfather's career path, who was an officer in Vietnam. A public memorial was held for Lei on January 10th. Family, hundreds of law enforcement, public servants, and community members were in attendance. Interim Oakland Police Chief Darren Allison said at the memorial, quote, "Officer Lei personified what it was to exude a deep compassion for his law enforcement family and the community he chose to serve. His kindness, his loyalty, and his smile will remain in our memories. A true hero. He will never be forgotten." Lei's cousin, Jennifer Kai, said, quote, "He was the light-hearted smile that came into the room, the person you could always count on to share a meal with, and the person who would make sure there was a place for you at the table. Lei is survived by his wife and mother.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A string of robberies target 7-Eleven stores in Los Angeles. We'll bring you more details and the reactions from locals. Shen Yun Performing Arts continue their tour around California's Bay Area. More on what audiences had to say about this weekend's performances in Berkeley. A lot took place during the weekend's NFL playoffs. Stay tuned for a recap of some highlights. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. Authorities are seeking up to 5 suspects involved in robberies across the several 7-Eleven convenience stores in Southern California. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
Over the past week, a spree of robberies has targeted multiple 7-Eleven stores across the Long Beach and Los Angeles area. Police responded to robberies that took place late Thursday night and early Friday morning. One of the incidents occurred in the Pico Union neighborhood shortly after 10 p.m. at a 7-Eleven on South Burlington Avenue and West Olympic Boulevard. The suspects have been described as an 18-year-old male, a 12-year-old male, and 2 17-year-old females. They stole approximately $300 worth of candy. The second robbery occurred around 1:30 a.m. near West Adams Boulevard and Normandy Avenue in the Adams-Normandy neighborhood. The suspects were reported as 4 to 5 individuals of Hispanic descent with unknown ages who fled the scene in a white Kia sedan. Robberies were reported at 3 locations in the Long Beach area Thursday night. The suspects used a gun as they took an estimated $200 in cash and $4,030 in lottery tickets. The suspects were described as 3 females and 2 males that fled each scene in a stolen white Kia sedan with the California license plate 9HFZ102. One Long Beach resident shared his concern on community safety.
Out here in Long Beach, more patrol check-ins on shops because there's a lot of robberies. So if they check in, every couple hours, it'd probably be a lot better.
It remains unclear if the recent string of robberies in Long Beach and Los Angeles are connected, with no arrests made so far. Christina Corona, NTD News, Carson.
At Shen Yun Performance, some audience members felt transported to experience China's history. Let's take a look.
Theatergoers such as Charles Martin came to see Shen Yun's display of classical Chinese dance in Berkeley, California.
I'd come back and see it again tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. I think it's playing. If I had tickets, I would. It's absolutely terrific. The color, the movement, the motion, the orchestra, it's just fantastic.
The performance has around 20 dance pieces, utilizing a unique animated backdrop.
But I'm very taken back by the screen that's in the back and how everything coordinates with that. I've never seen anything like that in my life. It's wonderful.
I like choreography. Music is beautiful. I like how the live performance is blended with the movie that it's played in the background, how it blends perfectly. The beauty of the costumes, again, it's a just combination. Great visual experience for me.
Oh, I just think it's filled with joy, that the dancers just have energy from almost inside, within, and they're very disciplined. Their dancing is so precise and rehearsed so beautifully with the music.
Shen Yun artists train in New York, showcasing a divinely inspired culture, but the Chinese government doesn't allow them to perform in China.
So this much restriction on an artist that's really painful. And plus, when I saw the spiritual endings, and that is so much positivity which I got from these performances. And you know, the belief that whatever is going wrong around the world, ultimately the good will win. Ultimately, whoever is kind, whoever is compassionate is going to lead the way. So that was a beautiful message.
Delight that a company would do something like this, and you know, to realize in the United States that we have God's freedom, we have God's liberty, and to realize that China does not have that. And that's real scary if something like that comes to the United States. And just, I don't know, I just can't say enough.
NTD News, California.
Now shifting gears over to sports, let's dive into the heart-pounding action of the NFL wildcard weekend. NTD's Carlos Reyes has more on the action.
In a stunning upset, the Green Bay Packers dominated the Dallas Cowboys in Sunday's wildcard game, securing a 48-32 victory. Despite being 7-point underdogs, the number 7 seeded Packers outplayed the number 2 seeded Cowboys in every aspect of the game. Jordan Love, making his first playoff start, showcased an extraordinary performance, finishing 16 of 21 for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns with a remarkable 157.2 passer rating. Love's stellar play led the Packers to their largest upset win in the playoffs since 1995. Running back Aaron Jones, on a hot streak with 3 consecutive 100-yard rushing games, continued his dominance over the Cowboys by rushing for 118 yards and scoring 3 touchdowns. Defensively, Jair Alexander and Darnell Savage made pivotal plays with interceptions in the first half, including Savage's impressive pick 6 that reached a max speed of 20.82 miles per hour. The Cowboys, on the other hand, had a disastrous outing with quarterback Dak Prescott throwing 2 interceptions, one of which resulted in a touchdown. The Packers' victory sets up a clash with the top-seeded San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round. Meanwhile, the Cowboys face an offseason filled with uncertainty, questioning the futures of coach Mike McCarthy, quarterback Dak Prescott, and defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. In a frigid playoff showdown, the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Miami Dolphins with a 26-7 victory. Patrick Mahomes led the Chiefs' offense against a struggling Dolphins defense, while the Chiefs' defense stepped up and played a pivotal role in limiting Miami to 264 yards and 1 touchdown. Chiefs rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice shone with 130 yards and a touchdown himself. Despite the Dolphins missing 5 defensive starters, the Chiefs faced challenges in the red zone, scoring touchdowns on only 2 of 6 attempts. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa struggled, completing 20 of 39 passes for 199 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The Dolphins' offense, missing its earlier season spark, averaged just 3.1 yards per play, contributing to a disappointing performance all around. The Chiefs now advance to the divisional round with their 6th consecutive playoff appearance, showcasing a different team dynamic this season. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud led the Houston Texans to a resounding 45-14 victory over the Cleveland Browns at NRG Stadium. Stroud's impressive performance included 3 first-half touchdown passes, while the Texans' defense sealed the win with 2 second-half pick sixes off Joe Flacco. Stroud connected with Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan, and Dalton Schultz for scoring strikes, showcasing the Texans' offensive prowess. The defense played a crucial role in holding the Browns to 14 points and returning interceptions for touchdowns. Running back Kareem Hunt scored 2 touchdowns for the Browns, but it wasn't enough to overcome the Texans' complete domination. The victory propels the Texans to the divisional round for the first time since 2019. The Texans reversed their Week 16 fortune, scoring 45 points before the fourth quarter and showcasing an all-around performance that beat the Browns through the air, on the ground, and on defense. Joe Flacco struggled with a passer rating of 31.7 under pressure, throwing a crucial 82-yard pick 6 to Steven Nelson. Linebacker Christian Harris had a breakout game with 8 tackles, a sack, and a pick 6. The Detroit Lions secured a historic 24-23 victory over the Los Angeles Rams at Ford Field, marking their first home playoff win since 1991. Quarterback Jared Goff, facing his former team and traded counterpart Matthew Stafford, led the Lions to victory in a game that showcased both teams' offensive firepower. The Lions, entering the playoffs as the number 3 seed, demonstrated resilience, holding off the Rams to end the NFL's longest active playoff victory drought. Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson's stellar play with 2 sacks and 4 quarterback hits played a crucial role in their overall success. Despite defensive challenges, the Lions managed to contain Stafford in the second half, and Goff's impressive performance, going 22 for 27 with 277 passing yards and a touchdown, sealed the win. The Rams, led by Stafford's 367 yards and 2 touchdowns, faced red zone struggles and were held without a touchdown in 3 trips. Rookie Puka Nacua set a NFL playoff record with 9 catches for 181 yards and a touchdown, but it wasn't enough to secure a victory. In Stafford's return to Ford Field, the fairy tale ending eluded him, and the Rams, unable to secure a touchdown in the red zone, fell short against the Lions.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.